Welcome to Revenza Tales, where revenge and standing up to fight back reaches your heart. Smash that like button, subscribe for a weekly fix of justice, leave your own comeback story in the comments, and share this video to spread the flame. This is a story of a mother's fury unleashed to defend her daughter's honor. On Christmas Eve, Rose Carter emerged from a taxi into the biting Boise, Idaho cold, her soggy boots sinking into the untouched drifts that covered her daughter's suburban street. The wind whipped across her face like 1,000 needles, and she had to pull her coat collar tight against her neck. At 52, after decades of being a Taekwondo instructor, Rose was well accustomed to rough conditions. Sweaty dojos, long and brutal tournaments, but this 32-degree cold bit deeper, seeping into her bones. Her breath puffed white in the air, excitement and nervousness knotting in her stomach as she gazed at the warmly lit house in front of her. She'd arrived unexpectedly to surprise her daughter, Lisa, after months away, so she could behold that oh-so-sweet moment when Lisa's eyes would light up at seeing her mother. The front yard was an untouched white sheet of snow, no shovel marks or footprints, as if nobody bothered to maintain it. The living room, visible through the picture window, was warm with golden light, jingle bells, Lisa's favorite tune from her childhood, spilling out from a Bluetooth speaker, combined with laughter and clinking glasses. Rose moved closer, looking in, hoping to see Lisa's recognizable smile amidst the celebratory hubbub. A red cloth-draped long table creaked under the bounty, a golden turkey, fluffy cornbread stuffing, apple-flecked cranberry salad, and wine glasses rimmed with firelight. The Bennett clan, her son-in-law Michael's relations, crowded the room. Rose knew Harold Bennett, Michael's father, seated at the head of the table, his back emitting authority. Evelyn Bennett, his wife, drank wine with a self-satisfied curl to her lips. Michael's sister Clara talked with her 2 children, their laughter cutting through the celebratory din. They toasted in glasses, the fire spitting and crackling behind them, a vision of warm celebration. But where was Lisa? Rose craned, looking for her daughter's dark curls or bright laughter, envisioning her cozied off in a corner, perhaps replenishing a dish. Her heart dropped when she saw nothing. Then, there was a faint whimper on the wind, thin and desperate, from the porch. Rose turned, and her universe came to a standstill. Under the weak porch light, next to a snow-clad poinsettia planter, Lisa sat shivering in a broken wooden chair, her frayed sweater no defense against the cold. Her shoulders shook with uncontrolled spasms, her wet hair clumped against her pale forehead, her breathing shallow and ragged. Rose ran to her, panic gripping her chest. "Lisa!" she exclaimed, her voice cracking as she ripped off the heavy jacket and wrapped it around her shaking body. Her fingers stroked Lisa's arm, ice-cold, dead, as if the warmth had been sucked from her. Lisa's crimson-rimmed eyes opened, her cracked lips barely managing to shape the word, "Mom," before she fell against Rose's shoulder, wisp-thin as a bird in the storm. "I'm here, baby, I'm here," Rose whispered, fighting to keep her voice steady as tears burned her eyes. She yanked a spare sweater from her bag, wrapping it around Lisa, willing her own heat into her daughter's shivering body. Lifting her gently, Rose felt Lisa's soaked slippers fall away, leaving wet tracks in the snow. She pressed her close, Lisa's weak breathing against her neck, each breath a reminder of the need to warm her, protect her, escape this hell. Within, the laughter continued, callous and insensitive, the Bennett family's voices echoing off the walls. Michael's baritone cut through, self-satisfied and boisterous, bragging over some victory, followed by a series of guffaws and clinking glasses. They lounged cozy in front of the fire as Lisa, Rose's heart and soul, stood shivering outside as an exile. Hours before, Rose had walked through Boise Airport, still aglow from coaching the national Taekwondo team in Seattle. The heat of the dojo still radiated in her muscles, a drastic difference with the winter air as she pulled her dented suitcase through the airport terminal. Her heart pounded excitedly, imagining Lisa's broad smile upon her surprise return. Lisa had always been her light. Her little girl who'd clung to her legs, begging for one more story, growing into a warm young woman whose laugh could erase Rose's hardest days. Her coaching kept her on the road, tournaments in Chicago, clinics in Denver, stealing time with Lisa to rushed calls and fleeting visits. Each departure, Rose promised herself, "One more trip, then I'll stay close." Tonight was her opportunity to redeem herself, to give a Christmas Eve of warmth and recollection. At the airport, she had phoned Lisa, wanting to hear the sound of her voice, assure herself she was home. The phone rang on, each unanswered ring making the knot in her stomach grow. 3 calls. No answer. She texted, "Mom's arriving. You home?" The screen remained blank. No blue checkmark, no response. Rose waved it off. Lisa was probably racing with holiday preparation, adorning the tree that was her favorite, or seasoning the mashed potatoes Rose had once instructed her on. But the quiet burrowed, a fearful quiet spreading like frost. The plane had descended past twilight, the Boise night seeping through her jacket as she stepped out of the terminal building. Families hugged her, their laughter and tears a contrast to her lone roller of suitcases. A father carried his daughter piggyback, her candy cane grasped tightly, her laughter ringing out. Rose's throat constricted, she'd walked Lisa thus, their hands clasped through festive Christmas streets. Now by herself, the pressure of lack bore more than the chill. In the cab, her voice creaky with exhaustion, she instructed, "Meadow Lane, 12th Street." The motor slogged through Boise's celebratory chaos, streets full of scarf-clad families on their way to midnight mass, a distant clanging of church bells, a choir singing Silent Night from a plaza nearby. Rose smiled, picturing Lisa in the kitchen, humming while mashing potatoes, the holiday atmosphere enveloping her house. At the stoplight, Rose caught sight of a face familiar amidst the traffic cops. Jake, an old Taekwondo student of her community center days, now sporting a sharp police uniform. "Jake!" she yelled, rolling down the window. His face broke into a smile. His old grin no different under the cap. "Coach Rose. Back in town. Finished Seattle training," she replied, covering for the fatigue. "Here for Lisa. Christmas surprise." Jake's smile slipped, his eyes clouded over with a shadow, as if he had something he wasn't allowed to tell her. The discomfort flared higher and higher. "Something the matter, Jake?" she prodded, leaning out. He shook his head too rapidly. "Nah, just nice to see you. Merry Christmas." But his hold on his cap tightened, his eyes fidgeting with hers as the light flickered green and the taxi moved off. Rose saw him recede in the rearview, the knot in her chest constricting. Approaching Lisa's residence, she told the driver to pull over a block away, desiring the surprise to hit just right. She pulled her bag through the snow, the light of surrounding houses as beacons in the night. From Lisa's residence, guitar chords and Winter Wonderland wafted out, evoking memories of Lisa's childhood carols. Rose smiled, imagining her daughter's voice adding to the mix. She propped her bag beside the steps, prepared to knock, heart full. Then a harsh laugh sliced through, a cruel mocking bark. Rose froze, hand hovering. Harold Bennett's voice boomed through the window. "That's a daughter-in-law for you. Barren, useless. 4 miscarriages. Haven't they shamed us enough?" His chuckle dripped with scorn. Michael's voice followed, cold as the snow underfoot. Always playing the depression card, hiding in her room, doing nothing. "If not for Mom and Dad, I'd have dumped her long ago." Clara's sharp tone joined in. "Completely worthless. A wife who can't produce children. What is she for? Faking illness for sympathy. Pathetic." There was laughter, clinking glasses, each one a knife in Rose's heart. Her daughter, who had given her all to this family, who had cried through 4 miscarriages on 3 a.m. phone calls, was being torn apart in her own home. Her hands balled up, nails digging into her palms, anger rushing up like a flood. And then Lisa, huddled, shivering, left on the porch. Rose picked her up, her daughter's slender form cold against her, the cold penetrating them both. Her fingers trembled, not only with the cold, but with a rage she hadn't experienced since her fighting days. Every step towards the door was heavier, heavy with intent. She banged on the wood, the noise silencing the taunting jingle bells, stuck in her head. No response. She pounded harder, her coach's power in every blow, willing the door to give. Finally, it creaked open, showing Evelyn, wine glass sloping, her bright red lipstick smile wavering under Rose's glare. "Rose, surprise." Evelyn cooed, her voice honey-sweet, insincere. "Why no warning? We'd have rolled out the welcome. Heads up." Rose snarled, every word aflame. "So I wouldn't see this?" She constricted her grip on Lisa, whose weak breath tickled her shoulder. "What did you do to my daughter?" Evelyn's brow shot up, her eyes darting to Lisa with a sneer. She wanted air. "No need for drama. It's Christmas. Come in, don't freeze." The dismissal hurt, as if Lisa's pain was a trivial nuisance. Michael showed up behind his mother, shirt half open, wine bottle in hand, his smirk combative. "Mom, shut the door," he drawled. "Let her sulk outside till she's over it." Who crashes Christmas acting fragile to avoid work? His laugh was a knife, and Rose held Lisa in her arms, shrinking, newly hurt. From the table, Clara's voice snapped through. Exactly. Good for nothing. Can't even bear a child. Whining in bed, bringing us all down. Her children skittered onto the porch, staring at Lisa, laughing. Aunt Lisa's in trouble, one breathed, their innocence warped into ridicule. Rose's eyes blurred with fury. She shouldered into the door, and then kicked it, wood crunching against the wall in a crack that quieted the room. Evelyn's wine spilled, coloring the rug red. The music stopped, the festive buzz cut short by a choking hush. Rose entered, Lisa held close, melted snow dripping from her boots like a sign of her rage. Each gaze fixed on her, Harold's icy glare, Evelyn's lost smile, Clara's scorn, the family's blend of shock and annoyance. She did not waver. Carefully, she placed Lisa on the couch, covering her daughter's shivering shoulders with her scarf, kneeling to come up to her eyes, filling that look with strength. The room remained lit, the fire crackling, but the atmosphere was heavy, waiting for confrontation. I never imagined the Bennett family, whom I'd once trusted, could stoop so low, treating my Lisa like refuse. Michael, my son-in-law, once seemed a good man, dependable, kind. Now his true face emerged, a cruel bully who'd banished my daughter to freeze on her own porch, discarded like trash. My blood roared, rage teetering on the edge of control, every muscle taut from years of taekwondo discipline straining to hold it in. Through the window, I saw Jake on the porch, his police uniform a stark contrast to the snow. His jaw set, fist curled, having heard the venom within. I nodded to him quietly. Not yet, but he was a lifeline, a silent promise that I wasn't alone, that someone else viewed the truth. Michael stepped forward, dropping all pretense. His finger pointed at me. "This is my house, Rose," he hissed, voice thick with wine and arrogance. "Stay out, or it'll get ugly." His smirk screamed confidence, certain I'd crumble under the Bennett family's weight. He misjudged me. My fists tightened, knuckles popping, years of suppressed fury igniting like a match in dry grass. The room's air crackled, a spark away from combustion. I locked eyes with him, my voice low, sharp as a blade. "You think you can threaten me? Think you can continue to hurt my daughter and get away with it? You're dead wrong, Michael. I'm not letting this pass." I shifted my attention to the Bennetts, Harold's glacial glare, Evelyn's slight smirk, Clara's condescending scowl. "All of you," I said, my voice echoing in the quiet room, "will pay for what you've done to Lisa." The living room fell silent as a tomb, the air so thick with tension that it was hard to breathe. I rested a hand on Lisa's shoulder, feeling her frail frame beneath my scarf, my voice unwavering. "This isn't private anymore. This is abuse, domestic, emotional, deliberate." The words landed like a boulder in still water, ripples spreading across every face. Evelyn, still clutching her wine glass, let out a mocking laugh, swirling the red liquid as if I'd told a bad joke. "Abuse?" she drawled, dripping sarcasm. "We're teaching her her place, Rose. You should thank us for tolerating her this long." Michael stepped closer, eyes bloodshot, words spat like venom. "She fakes depression, fakes pain to slack off. Nobody's hitting her. We're just done with her uselessness." He paused, his twisted smile cutting deeper. "Teach your daughter better, Rose. For miscarriages? Nobody loses that many. Maybe she wanted them gone." The accusation sliced like a razor, not just through me but through Lisa, her sharp gasp behind me like a wound torn open. For miscarriages. 4 times she'd called me, sobbing, her voice shattered, grieving children she'd never hold. Each loss had chipped away at her spirit, and I'd been too busy coaching to shield her. Now Michael dared claim she'd willed it. My fist curled, nails digging into my palm, blood thudding in my ears. He'd overstepped a line no apology could repair. I fished my phone out of my coat, shaking but determined, and called the Boise police station. "I'm calling the police," I said, cold as the snow outside. "A report's being filed. You'll be answering to the law." Every word was a chisel, cutting my intention into the air, no bluff in my voice. Michael froze, the wine bottle slipping from his grip, crashing to the hardwood, red staining the rug like spilled blood. Panic flickered in his eyes, though he tried to mask it with bravado. "You wouldn't dare," he shouted, but his voice cracked, betraying doubt. Harold rose, adjusting his tie, his judge's voice booming with practiced authority. "You're out of your depth, Rose," he said, eyes sharp as flint. "I've sat on the bench 30 years. Seen the worst. A phone call won't rattle us." His arrogance was a barricade, constructed from decades of holding power, but I remembered Lisa trembling on that porch, and no rank could keep me quiet. "Clara," arms folded, sneered from the table. "Go on, call," she goaded. "See who they believe, a hysterical old coach or a respected family like ours." Her laugh was venom. Sure I'd fail. Lisa pulled at my sleeve, her voice a shaking whisper. "Mom, please don't. I just want peace." Her red eyes overflowed with fear, of revenge, of further shame. My heart hurt, but I knew giving in would keep her trapped in this unhappiness for life. I clasped her hand firmly, filling it with strength. "You don't have to be afraid," I said softly, resolutely. "I'll take care of you. I promise." Picking her up tenderly, her snow-wet clothing dropping flakes onto the carpet, I disregarded the Bennet's sneers and muttered curses. I was only concerned with getting her away from this poisonous house, this prison of cruelty. Turning for the door, Jake stood visible through the frosted glass, his hand resting on his radio, eyes blazing, ready to go. I nodded marginally, indicating I was prepared to fight. He nodded in return, grip tightening, a silent vow of support. I left, Lisa in my arms, not looking back. Behind me, Evelyn ordered the housekeeper to clean the rug stained with wine. Michael punched the table, cursing under his breath. Harold's voice thundered, already on the phone, pulling strings. Their noises were arrows at my back, but they did not pierce. I brought Lisa to my small apartment close to the National Training Center, a plain place with a faded couch, a kitchenette in one corner, and family portraits stuck to the walls. Not luxurious, but secure, a refuge to protect her from the Bennett slings. I put her on the bed, still quivering under my coat, and threw an old sweater over her shoulders. I made hot cocoa, its rich steam wafting into the cold air. "Drink, sweetheart," I coaxed, pushing the mug into her palms. She gazed at it, hollow-eyed, as though heat was a privilege she didn't deserve. My phone vibrated, shaking me back into the present. Jake, his voice as steady as steel. "Ms. Rose, I submitted a preliminary report at the station. The Bennetts won't back down. They have influence. But I'll testify if you require me." His determination was a spark, unyielding. Jake, my former dojo student with the eager smile, now stood alongside me in this new battle. "Help me make the case, Jake," I said, my voice heavy with thanks. "This'll be a grind." "I've got you, coach," he said, plain and certain. The next morning I took Lisa to see Dr. Ellen Harper, a therapist downtown in Boise. Her waiting room was cozy, lit softly by lamplight and books. With Lisa, Dr. Harper spent an hour, her eyes heavy afterward. "Severe depression," she said. 4 miscarriages, constant verbal abuse from her in-laws. It's broken her spirit. She needs rest, therapy, protection. I nodded, guilt stabbing me. I should have been there earlier. Lisa sat huddled in the chair, hands clenched, eyes lowered, a shadow of her former self. Jake visited that afternoon, out of uniform, with a bag of apples and worn-out cookbooks. He put them out before Lisa, uncertain. "Heard you enjoy cooking," he said gently. "Perhaps begin small. Apple pie, chicken soup?" His kindness was tender, but concern tinged his eyes. Lisa hugged her sweater, saying in a whisper, "Thanks, but I can't do anything anymore." Her words pierced me, Jake's face dropping, but he didn't press, simply left the bag and faced me. "Anything you want, Ms. Rose, I'm here." That evening, while Lisa slept, I sat at the kitchen table beneath a dim bulb, papers scattered about me. A rustle at the door made me jump. An envelope slid underneath, silent as a threat. I tore it open, a scrawled note. "Back off the Bennetts, or you'll end up like your daughter. Broken. Quit." My blood surged. I crushed the paper, hurling it into the trash with a thud that broke the silence. Fear. No. It was fuel. They thought I'd fold. They were mistaken. I began sorting evidence, bank transfers I'd sent Lisa over the years, each with notes of love, proof I'd supported her while Michael squandered it. Messages where she'd begged to buy household items, only for him to dismiss her. I gripped my pen, nearly snapping it, rage flaring at my own blindness. I'd trusted Michael to cherish her, but he'd used her, discarded her when she wasn't useful. Lisa stirred, staggering from her room, catching sight of me bent over papers, eyes tired but frightened. "Mom," she breathed, voice cracking, "I'm afraid they'll hurt you." I stood, embracing her bony frame, her own fear reflected in mine but fueling my determination. "No fear, baby," I lied, firm in spite of my own fear. "I'll protect you. Always." I tucked her back into bed, remaining until her breathing slowed, but I didn't sleep. At the table again, I wrote out next steps, calling a former lawyer friend, David Klein, who'd worked on a team-related case years before. "The Bennetts are well-connected in Boise," he cautioned. "Courts, connections, it's a high uphill battle." "I'm not giving up," I told him, voice steel. Weeks of preparation were drudgery. Nights reading through receipts, medical summaries, each page a demonstration of Lisa's agony and my devotion. The day of the trial arrived, Boise's cold creeping into my coat as Lisa and I walked into the courthouse. Her hand was shaking in mine, her eyes bloodshot, dark-ringed, head down as though in flight from the world. I was stiff, her rock, my heart pounding though. "I'm here," I mouthed, clenching her hand. She nodded almost imperceptibly, her will worn away. The Bennetts were already present. Michael in a sharp suit, oozing lawyer confidence. Harold slow and keen-eyed. Evelyn and Clara, proper and whispering, their eyes venomous. Their animosity was heavy, but I stood firm. This was Lisa's battle. Jake sat in the rear, uniformed, nodding resolutely, his presence a muted strength. The trial commenced. David stood, holding up proof, bank transfers of my generosity, hijacked by Michael. Lisa's doctor's reports, chronicling her depression, for miscarriages, and the Bennetts' constant cruelty. "They made her feel like a leper in her own home," David declared, voice choking. Lisa sat, bent head, tightly folded hands, anguish emanating from her. I longed to take her in my arms but remained seated, relying on David. The Bennetts' attorney, a smooth young man in black, stood, voice booming. "Lisa pretends to be sick for sympathy. The Bennetts provided her with everything: food, shelter, care. She was a failure as a wife." The words stung, labeling my daughter lazy, worthless. Their witness, their former housekeeper Martha, sat on the stand, voice trembling. Mrs. Lisa was idle, cooped up in her room, leaving me to cook, clean everything. A lie, Lisa, who made pies from scratch, who put love into every meal, a sloth. I leaped to my feet. "That's a lie. Lisa was never like that." The judge, stern gray, slammed his gavel. "Silence, Ms. Carter. This is a courtroom." I sat, thudding heart, catching Harold's smug nod to the judge. A chilling silent pact making my spine tingle. Something was fixed. Jake's jaw was clenched in the back, fists clenched, reflecting my rage. David persisted, voice unwavering. "We introduce a recording of Christmas Eve, recording the Bennetts' verbal assault." Jake's audio played, Michael's icy voice. "She fakes depression to avoid responsibilities." Evelyn's sneer. "A barren woman's useless, even fed." Clara's jab. "Can't even birth a child." The courtroom hushed, whispers stirring. Lisa shrank, the words wounding anew. But the Bennetts' lawyer sprang to his feet. "Objection. Illegally recorded, no consent, privacy violation." The judge nodded, voice dry. "Inadmissible." The courtroom was like a vice closing around my chest. The judge's ruling, throwing out Jake's recording, raw evidence of the Bennetts' cruelty, hit like a blow to the stomach. I clutched the chair, struggling to remain upright as whispers swirled in the Boise courthouse. Others gasped, others shook their heads in dismay. Jake sat in the rear, bowed head, shaking fists in his police uniform, the force of the dismissal bearing down on him too. Lisa hid her face within her hands, shoulders convulsed with quiet tears. I seethed to storm the bench to shout for justice, but the Bennett self-satisfied assurance, Harold's cool, smirking eye, kept me frozen. He'd anticipated this, his judicial strings pulling behind the scenes. I clutched Lisa's hand and struggled to give her strength, though despair ate at my own. 7 days of savage trial days dragged by, each one etching new wounds. Evenings in my tiny apartment, by a dying lamp, I studied papers, the burden of hopelessness crushing. The day of the verdict came, and I sat next to Lisa, her cold, shaking hands clasping mine, her face drained, eyes somber from nights without sleep. I gripped her hand, forcing us both to be brave, though my own anxiety shook. Michael entered, smoothing his tie with a winner's confidence. Evelyn smoothed her skirt, red lips upturned in a self-assured smile, as though the win was already hers. Clara, wearing an obtrusive ensemble, gave us a disdainful look. Harold stood looming over us, his eyes as sharp as a knife, oozing control. Jake, out in the seats of observers, nodded barely, worried eyes fixed on me but firm, an unspoken promise to be with us. I sent a thankful glance back, his being there a tiny lifeline in the tempest. The judge came in, his face an empty mask, sending shivers down the air. His tone was level, unyielding. The court grants the divorce of plaintiff Lisa Carter and defendant Michael Bennett. Hope flickered. Lisa's silent tears overflowed, streaming down her face. I squeezed her hand, encouraging her to stay with it, relief churning at the prospect of her breaking out of the Bennett's cage. But the judge continued, tone monotonous. Though, nonetheless, complaints of domestic violence are not accepted on grounds of lack of legal proof. Asset-wise, since Michael Bennett had a larger contribution in the marriage, he receives most of the common property. The words strike like a sledgehammer, taking my breath away. No abuse accepted. The Christmas Eve tape, Michael's, Evelyn's, Clara's cruel words, thrown away on a technicality. Lisa's medical reports, my bank transfers, all manipulated by their attorney into falsehoods. And then it hit home. Harold's years on the bench, his network of contacts, had tipped the scales. His raised eyebrow, his leaning forward, was all the confirmation I needed. Now they owned the decision. Lisa and I were pieces in their game. I sprang to my feet, anger and hurt boiling over. This isn't justice, I yelled, voice echoing off walls. You witnessed what they did to my daughter. Heard her suffering and you consider that justice? You take everything from her? A guard moved forward, his tone stern. Sit, ma'am, or leave. I seethed at the judge, impassive face, words irrelevant to him. I settled back, hands trembling, the world shattering. Michael looked at me, smile mocking, a knife, tie pulled up like a trophy. Evelyn and Clara whispered, the taunts cruel. Harold's nod was condescending. Another case twisted to his desire. Their laughter cut into my heart. My justice had been stolen by them, along with my faith in the system. Lisa's muffled crying, her face covered with her hands, shattered me on the inside. I longed to assure her it would be all right, but my voice closed off. Jake stood suddenly, bulging veins, clenched fists, his rage parallel to mine. I signaled for calm, though I seethed to break up the room. The judge's gavel cracked. Order. Session adjourned. The sound was a last blow, opening a fresh wound. People rose, voices murmuring, papers rustling. I stayed, holding Lisa tight, her trembling sobs tearing me apart. I wanted to comfort her, but words felt useless against this pain. The ruling didn't just rob Lisa of assets. It crushed my belief that the system would protect her. Michael sauntered over, leaning close, his whisper venomous. Told you, Rose. Don't fight me. You're just a washed-up coach. His crooked smile gleamed with triumph as he turned away, dismissing us. His words were fuel for my anger, veins throbbing, body strung as a bow. I wanted to charge, to deliver a blow tempered by years of taekwondo, to exact revenge on him for Lisa's suffering. But Jake stepped in front of me, eyes afire, fist balled, prepared to let loose his own tempest. The courtroom hummed, whisperings of a brawl, phones illuminating, a reporter's camera salivating at scandal. Michael whirled, surprised, then sneered. Go ahead, hit me, cop, he taunted. I'll bury you. Jake's fist shook, breathing heavy, eyes bloodshot with rage. I knew he could go over a line we would all regret. Lisa suddenly broke loose, ran to Jake, holding his arm, crying. No, please don't, she screamed, voice raw. I don't want you or Mom to become like him. I just want peace. I want to live. Her plea cut the air, silencing the room. Tears flowed down her face, her weak hands holding onto Jake like a lifeline. Jake stopped in his tracks, his explosive eyes faltering, fists slowly releasing. He lowered his head, lips locked, struggling with his anger. Camera lights flashed, Lisa holding onto Jake, Michael smirking in the background. People around him shifted, some crying, a woman wiping away tears, a man shaking his head. Lisa's suffering had broken their hearts. But the Bennets remained unflinching, Evelyn and Clara whispering, cold smiles twisting. Harold nodding, his authority unshaken. The judge's gavel came down again. Order! Clear the room if this continues. I moved forward, holding Lisa in my arms, her sobs convulsing us both. Jake stood at our side, head bent, guilt in his clenched lips, as if he faulted himself for restraint. I put a hand on his shoulder, nodding softly, thanking him quietly for his restraint, his loyalty. Michael straightened his tie, walking away, Evelyn and Clara behind, their laughter another lash. The room cleared, leaving Jake, Lisa and me, 3 hearts scarred by the same wound. Mom, Lisa breathed, voice cracking. I'm so exhausted. Can we please go home? Her words tore at me. I wanted to promise to continue fighting, but I could not speak. I walked her out, Jake with us, the soft Boise light biting into our faces. The verdict was a defeat, but it ignited a spark. This war was not yet done. Days afterward, Boise hummed with a buzz. Headlines screamed in local news. Bennett trial. Justice bought? The words had echoed our sorrow, Lisa's and mine. A video from the courtroom, Lisa holding Jake, begging for peace, went viral on the internet. Her crimson eyes, shattered voice, won hearts. Comments overflowed. The Bennets believe they own the world. Lisa is better than that. Seated in our apartment, reading them, I felt a spark of comfort. The court lost, but the people recognized her truth. The Bennets' victory in court came with a price. Whispers circulated. Harold's former colleagues wondered at his sway. Michael, the lawyer of injustice, earned internet ridicule. Their sleek cachet shattered like brittle ice. I didn't gloat, but I experienced a shred of justice. Not of courts, but of voice from people. Lisa came to live with me. Its warm lamplight and family pictures a quiet refuge. I cooked her breakfast every morning. Pancakes with maple syrup, or scrambled eggs and toast. She'd sit, holding tea, looking out at the rooftops of Boise, faint sunlight on her face. There were days, silent tears would fall, but gradually she talked more, her eyes less empty. I didn't prod, just remained nearby, a mother guarding her from the storm. Jake became a regular, stopping by with poinsettias or corner bakery donuts. His visits brightened Lisa up, like medicine for her soul. One day, he gave her a taekwondo uniform-shaped keychain, his tone gentle but insistent. You don't have to be strong yet, but you can start small, like Coach Rose taught me. Lisa went rigid, eyes shining, lips shaking. Thank you, she breathed, holding the keychain, a spark of feeling bursting through. I stood there, quiet, a burden lifted. She'd spent years being referred to as useless. Now someone saw her value, not for what she was doing, but for who she was. I looked away, wiping at a tear, concealing my own vulnerability. The one night, sun setting over the apartment in gold, Lisa sat beside Jake on the couch, hands fidgeting her sweater, voice trembling. Jake, I might never have children. If that's a disappointment. She left off there, fear in her eyes. I paused at the sink, heart still, waiting. Jake smiled, warm and steady, taking her hands. I don't need that, Lisa. Your family. His words melted the cold in my chest, tears blurring my eyes. 4 years, Lisa was shamed for her losses. Now someone said she was enough. I turned, letting tears fall silently, gratitude too vast for words. Easter came, and I held Lisa's hand, strolling Boise's main square as when she was a child, dashing along shining streets. The square was filled with children's laughter, pie aromas drifting from stalls. Lisa, sweater lightweight, hair back in a ponytail, smiled, a warm, spring sun smile. Mom, she whispered. I miss this. Baking pies with you, listening to your taekwondo tales. I tightened my grip on her hand, smiling. I miss it too, sweetheart. I'm here for more memories, always. On a bench overlooking the fountain, observing children playing, a realization struck me. Justice in the courtroom can be purchased, manipulated by authority. But heart justice, love, dignity, strength, no one can touch. Lisa's scars and all was healing step by step. My power wasn't in dojo kicks, but in loving her. Jake showed up with toasty churros, offering one to Lisa. They laughed, talking like old buddies. I sat and watched, hope swelling. Lisa's scars from the Bennets would remain, but she was learning to love herself, to believe in those who cherished her. At 52, after so many wars, I knew fighting for Lisa's happiness was my best match. Moral: real justice isn't always found in courts. It's in standing up, loving hard, and retaking your value against all odds. Thanks for coming along with this journey with Revenza Tales. If Rose's battle ignited something in you, like, subscribe, and share to illuminate another's path. What would you do if you were her? Remain silent for peace or stand up to reclaim your voice? Leave your thoughts below, and watch 2 more awesome stories linked at the end. They'll punch you hard. Big hugs and see you soon.